Contagious, isn't it? A little kiddie wink laughing like that. Did I get you? Did you at least feel like smiling? Well, I hope so. And I hope that this episode will not only make you smile, but also give you some practical insights into the benefits of laughter. Because, as I've said in the title of this episode, laughter is no joke. It's very serious when it comes to being part of your whole well-being practice. And this podcast is called Self-Belief Unsquashed. By the way, hello, I'm Tricia Lewis, your host. And why am I including this? Because the more you are energized, the more your sort of mojo is elevated, the more resilient you are to all the stuff that is likely to knock you down and get you in that self-doubt spiral. So yes, it is totally relevant to keeping you unsquashed. A little bit of the research behind it and some ideas that I'm going to share as to what might make you laugh more on a day-to-day basis. So here we are in slightly anxious times, and that is exactly the time when perhaps we forget to laugh. And yet it is the one thing that can relieve that stress and anxiety and just make us feel generally better about the world despite everything that's going on in it, because we can only do what we can do. And to be of use to other people, let alone ourselves, we need to keep our health up and we need to keep our energy and our motivation. And laughter is all part of that. I'll start by saying this is not a new idea. I'm not proclaiming some new discovery. In fact, back in the 17th century, there was a chap called Thomas Sydenham, something like that. He was known as the English hypocrite. And there's a quote. Let me find this delightful quote. Here it is. The arrival of a happy clown exercises a more beneficial influence upon the health of a town than of 20 asses laden with drugs. This was in the 17th century. Oh, by the way, I think he's talking about medical type drugs. But anyway, 17th century, see? And then there was a famous case, which again is back in the past and it's often quoted, of a chap called Norman Cousins, diagnosed with a spinal disease. And without going into the medical stuff, he was advised to watch comedy videos, and every time he did and had a bout of laughter, all the various readings on the red blood cells or something went in a direction that basically meant his health was boosted. That's a very sketchy, but it's all over the internet. Norman Cousins. And yes, it was then tested again and again, and research does back this up. There are definite health benefits to laughing. Charlie Chaplin, a day without laughter is a day wasted. I just want you to hold on to that. Hold on to it. It's stress relieving. There is research by Dr. Lee Burke and Dr. Stanley Tan from Loma Linda University, I will put all this in the notes, that says laughter reduces cortisol, which is our main stress hormone, and releases endorphins, our feel-good chemicals. See? Just 1 minute of laughing can apparently provide up to 45 minutes of relaxation. That's a very good investment. 1 minute of laughing, 45 minutes of relaxation afterwards. So that's stress relief. It's also immune boosting. Laughter increases the production of antibodies and T cells, and they fight off illness. How good is this? As something to help, it's got to be worth considering. It's at the times where you're going to feel least like laughing, I would imagine, especially if you've got serious health conditions, that you're going to have to very deliberately plug into this particular tool, I think. What else? I've said about it being a natural painkiller, as in the case of Norman Cousins. But it's also a connector. It's a bonding tool. Humans are 30 times more likely to laugh in a group than alone. I'll put the reference to that below. Laughter creates connection and trust, and research backs this up. apparently couples who laugh together stay together. And I certainly can say that that's been an important element of my relationship. It's the everyday stuff that can make you laugh. The silly stuff. It's not telling jokes as such. In fact, I've spent many years doing monologues by somebody called Joyce Grenfell, who is a perfect example of this. Think Pam Ayres or Victoria Wood. Look her up. She was around in the 40s, 50s, 60s and 70s. But oh my goodness, pieces just bring to mind for everybody the silliness of stuff we say and do. And that's what makes them so funny. So she has a piece about nursery schools, and it's lasted the test of time. Honestly, you imagine that you're in a nursery school with lots of little toddlers doing silly things. And she has one particular almost catchphrase in these sketches. And it's, George, don't do that. And you never really know what George is doing, but you can sort of guess. Is it got something to do with his nose, maybe? But it's just beautiful because it is just the stuff that everybody recognizes. And that is so often what makes us laugh, much more than, as I say, anything a little bit more contrived. You know that from comedians that I think you probably enjoy most. They are those, Michael McIntyre's got a great sketch about a man drawer, and whenever he does it, whether you like him or not, you've got to admit it's a great sketch because he talks about the things in this drawer and everyone is thinking, oh my gosh, that's what we've got in this ridiculous drawer in the kitchen that is of no real use whatsoever, but full of stuff. So yeah, that's a little aside about how if you just share things with people a bit more, the everyday stuff that you almost may be having a laugh at yourself over, you will find a lovely feeling emerges both in that connection moment and the fact you've made someone smile, making people smile. I mean, I've done a lot of performance work, which has been the sort of stuff that brings smiles. And I can tell you the mutual joy that brings is just huge. So it's not only making sure you have more smiling and more laughter, but if you can bring that into other people's worlds as well, you will feel great about it. So win-win. Anyway, I digress. Knowing all these benefits exist and perhaps realizing that you're not doing it enough, well, how could you purposefully do it more? You could go down the route of watching or reading or listening to things that make you laugh. I'll give you a couple of examples from my world. Friday and Saturday nights, 10 o'clock on LBC Radio. There's a chap called Nick Abbott, and you can get him on Catch Up. And he just is brilliant because he also has callers who are amazing. But he takes all the anxious making stuff that's going on in the world and somehow manages to make it funny, but not in a trite way. I mean, he actually does a serious program on the Sunday night slot. So, he knows his stuff when it comes to what's going on, but he just, it's just a sort of breath of fresh air and can sometimes be extremely funny. He uses little sound clips as well. Give it a go. Nick Abbott. I'll reference it below. Or what else? There might be certain things on television that are going to make you laugh. There might be certain comedians who make you laugh. And that's so individual, isn't it? I mean, you can go and see people laughing their head off at one comedian and you think, well, I have no idea how they're finding this funny, and vice versa. So you have to find your own thing for sure. I even listened to a podcast that technically sounds really serious. It's called The Rest is History. But the two hosts of it, apart from really knowing their stuff, Tom and Dom, they have great chemistry. And that can often, you see it with Ant and Dec, don't you? And Morecambe and Wise and all that. But it's just amazing how they do this storytelling. And because they sort of take the mickey out of each other a little bit as they go along, it has me laughing as well as being fascinated by the history that I'm learning. So there we go. But it's got to be spontaneous. I'm not talking about contrived. There are some people who think they're funny who are really not, and some comedians who are just incredibly contrived and just, leave me not laughing at all, let alone smiling. So you've got to find your own thing. You could try laughter yoga. I've never tried that actually, but I bet it works. I know it works. Otherwise it wouldn't be out there. And of course, don't take yourself too seriously. Find opportunities to laugh at yourself. If you do something a bit daft, instead of immediately going to embarrassment cover-up mode, try laughing. And it is contagious. So you've got to also be prepared for people to laugh with you and remember that they're not laughing at you. Two different things. Now, there's also the fake it till you make it aspect of laughing. And the best way to try this is actually to do it with a smile rather than a full-on laugh, but it works with laughter. So when you're feeling pretty bleh, or maybe you're dreading going into some meeting or event that you're not particularly into and you're a bit of an introvert and you're thinking, oh no, but I've got to look like I'm enjoying myself, or you're on Zoom or whatever it is. Just try the smile trick. It is extraordinary. So whatever space you're coming from, deliberately smile. And when we say smile, don't do one of those quick smirk things. Do a proper full-on, sort of full-body smile, if you like. So you want your eyes to sort of crease up at the sides. You want it to be in your eyes almost. And breathe. And you will find your mood improves. You can't fight it. It's magic. And obviously all those diaphragm things are going on as well when you laugh. It feels like magic, but it's actually quite scientific. So the takeaway is simple. Laughter isn't just for fun. No, it's very serious. It's for your mental health, your physical well-being, and the health of your relationships. Find people who make you laugh, but as I say, make sure it's spontaneous. It's often about the everyday stuff. And some people just share your humour, don't they? And because you are magnetically pulled towards those people, and vice versa. As I say, it relieves stress, it boosts immunity, it reduces pain, it strengthens bonds. And as I said before, it's free. It's totally accessible and you can access it at any time. So I started with that baby laughing. I'm going to have to end with that baby laughing. And if you look up online things like The Laughing Policeman, that was around when I was a kid. And there's a song, I mentioned Joyce Grenfell earlier on, there's a song called Narcissus by Norman Wisdom and Joyce Grenfell as a duet. Look that up. I'll put the references here. They both include this laughter element in the song. And I promise you, you're made of stone if it doesn't catch you, if you don't feel that contagion and start laughing or at least smiling yourself. So I'll leave you back at the Giggle Factory. And here's to the next time. Stay curious and unsquashed. Here we go.